This is NWCN. Northwest news and weather 24 hours a day. Now, Northwest News First Edition.
Next, gaining tons of financial friends. All eyes are on Facebook stock this morning as it goes public for the first time. A Northwest SWAT team brings in the big guns, trying to lure a suspect out of his home. What they found 7 hours later. And Copper River salmon finally arrives in the Northwest this morning, but are you willing to pay the price for this prized fish? Good morning. I'm Stephen Kilbreath. It's Friday, May 18th, and you're watching First Edition. Here's a look at our Portland tower cam this morning. It's expected to be a cooler day across the Northwest as we head into the weekend. Let's get a check on your forecast now with Don Carson.
Okay, Stephen, you're right about the cool weather part. In fact, let me show you back in just a bit with a complete weather update.
Looks pretty good. Thanks, Don. So are you really buying into all this hype? Many investors are, as social network Facebook goes public this morning. The company is making its initial public offering on Wall Street, each share priced at $38. The move is generating $16 billion for the company and its private shareholders. While some investors are skeptical about Facebook's long-term profitability, most are hopeful ad revenue will sustain business for a long time.
As an advertiser, I couldn't knock down the idea that these people know more about more people than anybody. It's got to be worth something.
The IPO now puts Facebook's value at $104 billion. The stock expected to start trading on the NASDAQ around 8 o'clock Pacific time, and that's when we will have the latest for you on First Edition right here on NWCN. A police standoff in Kent, Washington has now turned into a manhunt. SWAT teams arrived at a wanted felon's home last night and used some major equipment to lure a wanted felon out of a house. Officials knocked out windows, used flashbang grenades and tear gas, but after 7 hours, police realized no one was inside. It's not clear if the man escaped or whether he was home to begin with. A longshoreman has died after a forklift accident along Seattle's waterfront. It happened at Terminal 18 last night. The man got trapped between the mast and roof of the forklift. Co-workers freed the man, but he died from his injuries. A Pierce County, Washington man accused of assaulting his girlfriend's children could face a judge today. Deputies say Heather Bervin's boyfriend, Stephen Parabenos, hurt the 18-month-old and 3-year-old in their apartment yesterday while the mother was away from home. The 3-year-old should be okay, but the 18-month-old is now fighting for his life.
It is the worst feeling in the world. I feel like a failure, and I just wish my babies didn't have to go through that. I wish I could take their pain, but I can't.
A third child was unharmed. Deputies don't know why the children were injured. They say the boyfriend isn't talking. Animal control officers call it one of the worst cases of neglect in western Washington. 26 horses on the verge of starvation near Mount Vernon. An anonymous tip led officers to the animals. Rescue workers called the conditions horrible and brought the animals to a horse rescue in Arlington. We're told some of the animals may not make it. The attorney for the horses' owners is petitioning to get the animals back and denies they lived in life-threatening conditions. The latest Washington crime report shows the city of Spokane has a higher crime rate than Seattle, Tacoma, and Yakima. Spokane also tops the list for property crime and comes in second for violent crime. Police say they just don't have the manpower to tackle the problem.
I definitely think people would be shocked and dismayed at the number of officers that are working at any given time. I think they greatly overestimate that.
Spokane County's overall crime rate was also higher than both King and Pierce counties. In Oregon, a TriMet driver went above and beyond his job description. The 12-year veteran stopped his bus and came to the aid of a woman being physically assaulted. News Channel 8's Mike Benner has the story.
What did you do? You saved the girl from getting her butt whooped.
Larry Porter is known as a good neighbor, but tonight he's the talk of the neighborhood after saving a woman from a brutal attack.
It's no surprise to me at all. He's a big guy, you know.
Well, and he has Southern values.
That's key.
And he's a good Christian man.
Around 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon near 96th and Division, Larry was behind the wheel of his 24 bus when something caught his eye. It was a man assaulting a woman.
I mean, punching her and slapping her in the head and hitting her in the face.
Larry says nobody was stopping to help, so he pulled the bus over and yelled out the door, "The cops are coming."
Whatever went on in his head made him start hitting her even faster.
For a man who has 6 kids and a half-dozen sisters of his own, doing nothing wouldn't do. So Larry jumped out of the bus and headed for the couple.
I had to tackle the guy off the girl and secure him with my body weight to make him stop hitting on this lady.
By this point, other witnesses had arrived to help. But the woman was already bruised and bloodied, and allegedly it was all over a cell phone.
She didn't have no chance of defending herself. And the way I was brought up is that you see somebody who needs help, no matter what color, what race, what gender, you help them.
When he walked in the door, we sang, "His name is Larry, and he is a hero."
That's how Larry's kids greeted him when he got home after work. But if you ask Larry, he's no hero. In fact, he's far from it.
I'm just a normal guy who did what should have been done.
Mike Benner, KGW News, Channel 8.
Police did arrive on scene, but the man was not arrested. Larry says it's because the victim left before the officers got there. A federal forecast for the summer has officials worried about fires and droughts. NOAA experts predict about 3/4 of the nation will see warmer than normal weather from June through August. The Pacific Northwest and Alaska are predicted to be cooler than average for June, but not for the rest of the summer. The famous Copper River salmon arrives in Seattle this morning. This is video of last year's delivery at SeaTac Airport. There's the great fish. Every year, the fatty fish, prized for its taste, is flown in from Alaska. It's not clear yet on how much exactly Copper River salmon will cost this year. However, a chef at Ray's Boathouse in Seattle speculates restaurant prices for the fish could range from $40 to $50 a pound because of good fish runs. Still ahead on First Edition, an ad campaign that's making waves. A man's idea to target drivers on one major Northwest bridge. And we're going to check in with Don Carson now, see how our weather's going to be for today and on into the weekend.
Well, it's starting a little chilly out there this morning.
Yeah.
Burn.